Dear, here it's still on the 19th, no, this 18th of October, still the 18th. And we've had a dinner break and here we are back. So we're getting into a conversation around what happens when you have expectations about what these drops are going to do, and they don't do that. They might do something else. They might do something that you weren't really even tracking, so you think they do nothing. So we're just going to have a little bit of a chat now. What were you going to?
You were talking about putting it on topically around me, and did you put that in a cream or anything like that? It drops into oil before you put it on.
Oh, that's a good idea. Like dilute it into an oil.
Yeah. I mean, some people have heard of putting it in aloe vera. What can happen sometimes is because it is like gold at the moment. You don't want to kind of feel like you're wasting a lot of time. So, and it is very sticky. But you can either put it, maybe essential oil or whatever, and just drop it and then rub it on. But going back to that, this is something that we do hear about every now and then. Is it's not working, or well, I feel it's not working, or I'll be taking it for a certain amount. So I'm a bit sort of concerned about, do I share it? So I've had my initial first experience with the product was very, really great. Mental fog lifted, slept like a rock, and so on. And it went on and on, blood pressure normalizing it. And then I had a period where I plateaued. But this is where it gets super interesting for a lot of people that we work with, is that they feel that they need to be convicted in the product in order to share it. Mm-hmm. But with 25,000 testimonials on a website saying otherwise, saying that they've had results, my question to people is, why would your experience override what you see amongst thousands of people that have had results? Because it's a big question. And I've asked a lot of people this. Why is it that you need it to work for you before you share it? If there was no, I get it, if there were no testimonials, that's different. You can say, well, but that's not working for anybody else.
What I've heard people say is that they feel like just when they hear, for example, with me sharing my success story, that it's so compelling and it's so like inspiring. And I'm like, my whole life has changed from these drops. That's actually a really powerful place to share from. Mm-hmm. And so people want to have similar results, that they've got a powerful place to share from. And I get that.
Yeah, and that can sometimes take time. So I think what we've got to find is educate people on how to take it. Either you're taking it out by change to treatment plus, but give it a chance. Like because some people, for you it was rapid, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, we're impatient as human beings. Yeah. We want things happening yesterday.
And we want symptom reduction.
And we want symptom reduction. We want to feel good. And if it's not happening now, why? So either, I would say people give it a good try. I always educate people when I give somebody the drop. I just hand it to them, right? I educate them on what to do, how to take it, because we've got the material in with the global up, but how to take it, the time to take it, the potential drops amounts to start with, and or if you have a chronic state, up it, right? Because this is one of the reasons why these types of models are chosen by a lot of companies to get products out, is because we then talk and engage with people. It's not just a shelf product that I pick up and then kind of read it and go, well, let's see, right? Because it's more than just handing it to somebody and going, here's a testimonial and I'm going to expect amazing results because they did.
That's actually probably one of the things that I've learned, is that I've let too many people start on the maintenance dose, just 5 drops morning, 5 drops in the evening. I've kind of told most people just to start at that, and actually a number of them should have really started at gone up to 20 or maybe even more quite quickly.
And so did you?
Because they have quite acute symptoms. Sorry.
What did you start on?
I started on 10 and then I quickly went up to like 7 or 8 drops in the morning and 7 or 8 drops in the evening. Probably went up to about 16, 17. I went quite hard for about 2 weeks and then went down.
So you know, sounds good. Is quantity.
Frequency.
Yeah, frequency. How you, yeah, and then also how are you taking it? I'll tell you something that's really powerful. It's on YouTube. Yeah, 400.
Oh,
They do for they do for
2 minutes.
you know, I'll hold it in my mouth for a minute.
I mean, I went to the gym and I went, sorry.
For me, hot water cleans the
Yeah.
yellow teeth and the other structure.
I want my teeth being.
You did?
So,
I went to Pilates and I literally pulled a muscle in my groin and I came home and I was like, oh, damn, we're done. And that day I'd seen someone talking about putting it under the tongue. So I put like 4 drops under the tongue and I held it there for, I don't know, probably a couple of minutes, like a while. Swallowed it. Within 5 minutes, the pain in my groin had gone.
Yeah.
And 7 hours later, it came back again. And so I took it again under the tongue.
It's a good one.
And then the next morning, it was just gone. Like, I mean, that would have been a week-long issue for me. The 2 hits under the tongue. I think I'm just really sensitive to this stuff because like under the tongue is an effective painkiller for me. It really is an effective painkiller.
It's helped me with headaches.
Yeah.
Like headaches, I put it 10 minutes later, my headache's gone.
Mm.
So there's ways of educating people how to kind of take the product, right? Because it is more than just 10 drops in a coffee, tea, or room temperature water, and we kind of hope for the best. Normally, what I'll do is if I get somebody a product, I'll follow them up 3 days later. You know, just give them a little bit of a window, right? Because sometimes if they're super sensitive or they're very acute, if you go too high in a dose or recommend too high, you know, it could sometimes have what we call a detox cascade, where the body will kind of just like, and they feel really bad.
Feel worse before you feel better.
Yeah,
And
but,
it's actually good
but
news.
so they freak out, right? So I always start people small. If they're a relatively fit-ish person, I'll say start 10 and work your way out.
That's what.
Yeah. So you know, with like that, it's quite interesting because a lot of people feel like it has to work for me or has to work like it works for Judy.
Like a point of proof.
A point of proof, right?
But yeah, you were saying before that you probably upped your activity level since you started, So there's all that too. It's relative to, okay, and this is a great story, really quick one. A long-term friend of mine, her mum's had fibromyalgia for probably 30 years. So, and getting worse to chronic, just chronic pain, nothing's helped over there. Started on the drops, nothing's working, didn't feel it for probably 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say. And then we swapped her over to the Pekin Plus. And she had a dramatic improvement, so much so that the next day she was feeling so good that she went and overdid it. And then the day after was back to kind of not square one, but and so that's the thing, as you're kind of feeling these changes are happening, or you might not be necessarily aware, you actually might be doing more load on the body, so your requirement might increase for the drops as well in order to just manage that. So as you start doing more, you probably need more.
Well, I have a story about that personally, which is my low back pain went away and I was feeling so much more energy, and I started going, oh, okay, well, I can be Superwoman. So I lifted this 25 kg sack, and my sacrum, which is a different thing than my lower back, all of a sudden I could just feel it, and I went, yeah, this is normally a month-long process. And so I sat down on the couch and I could just feel it kind of tight. And so I asked my daughter to help me. She put cling film on her hand and 2 drops of curcumin and put it on my sacrum and then wrapped my midriff so it wouldn't stain anything. And within 4 hours of sitting and working on the couch, it was about 80% gone. And that was just topically. I mean, I had been taking it 5 drops AM and PM just in my bloodstream. But then, I had a shower that night, no yellow staining, anywhere from the residual, because it had been washed off. And it taught me the power of topical application as well.
Yeah, so that's that education around how to take it. I'll always say people either it's going to work within days or 3 months.
Really?
Well, it's
Is that what you
important.
noticed?
Well, that's generally what the kind of data points, and I know Dr. Jimmy says that give it a chance, give it at least 90 days.
Yeah, because I've got a few friends like that 2-3 week mark things have started shifting.
see
Yeah.
that sometimes.
Yeah.
too.
I've heard that. I've heard
And I've had people that have
65
taken
days.
it like next day. In fact, we had a group of ladies yesterday who were doing a training thing and a presentation. Listening really, they were, one of them was quite a sick lady who had dialysis machine every day.
She's got kidney polycystic kidney
Like
disease.
really rare thing, right? Genetic. And she's listening, another lady, she was a nurse and she worked substantially long hours in ED, right? So that's tough. Yeah, and a couple of other ladies in that. And then, we were talking and then Rebecca, put out some of the drops and then they just started, one lady grabbed it for her and funny, weirdly, and kind of licked it. And then everybody started doing it. Yeah, we should add the salt and the lime, but and then they all started doing it, and then they did it again, and then about I don't know after about 40 minutes we were like,
We'll get in the
I'm
middle
just
back.
curious how are you feeling, and they was like, it's kind of weird. Normally I have really sore shoulders, and I mean she, because she's probably got very high inflammation markers done. She felt something within like a matter of an hour. Probably actually
She
less.
said all the tiredness left in the body.
Up in the kidneys. So, so you go, oh wow, amazing, right? And another one said, yeah, I kind of feel, you could say it's suggested because she's feeling good, I'll be reading you. So, but it could take upward of 3 months. If you are,
and that's what's suggested.
yeah, exactly, test it on fit. But but it gives people an education about what to look at because if they go, you invited me to disruptive wellness, and I've seen all these incredible results. Why is it not happening to me?
Expectations very high.
But I'm not my knee or my whatever or my sleep or So change the product. Need be. Train application. Need be.
Increase the amount.
Increase the amount.
Consume it closer together. And,
Topical application.
and sometimes if you're taking medication, it's a good idea to take it separately to medication. So if you're on something, you just take it in between. So don't take it at the same time.
What about if you're taking supplements?
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's
That's
fine.
fine.
I think it's just more so that do we share them? I'm trying to find the answer to that. Yes, I don't know if it's more to see so you can allow the certain supplements if you're on say vitamins or whatever, you allow them to do their job and then you take them to do its job and there's no services going up. But I was thinking for you maybe what you could try is just really concentrate on your knee, like the pain on the knee, and then put a few drops on your tongue with intention of seeing in a few minutes whether that feels any different. Because what I've noticed about the drops is it does bring people more into conscious attunement to their body because they're taking notice, they're more aware. And so when you have a headache and you put the drops on your tongue to say, I want this to get rid of my headache, you're actually consciously really monitoring that. So it'd be interesting to see whether your knee pain is like constant all the time, or does it kind of come and go? Are there periods where you're more acutely aware of it?
Well, it's not necessarily. It's not like like it's not in pain all the time. It's more just like if there's a certain right there where it clicks, there's something in here that isn't right
So it's
from
a
the
mechanical
dislocation. And so I don't know if that's actually something that it can help per se.
I mean, if there's an inflammatory component, maybe if it's a structural or mechanical. I mean, this is your expertise.
There you go.
You can have knee problems that you can have lateral patellar retraction, and it can just be from tight quadricep. So it could be a matter of like tight quads or something not aiding your ability or that tracking your patellar.
Gee, you should do yoga with your mom.
And you should do yoga with your mom.
I'm away before you're awake.
This is that thing, right? Nothing is 100%.
And there's no,
I'm curious, did you have hay fever for quite a long time before you
I did
smelt the
actually,
rain?
yeah.
And so you cured your hay fever?
I have no hay fever.
So you've got results.
Well, we certainly have had
Yeah.
fine pollen, because I've seen the yellow dust around, layering on the
Because hay
top.
fever's bad at the moment, like lots of fungi.
Yeah,
really
okay.
bad.
Oh, that's
I've
good.
been told
You're
for
not
the last
getting
2 weeks, it's just wiped
Yeah,
out people
it's-
want to go.
It's true, I haven't sneezed once.
That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
interesting.
So if you're not getting it, you might be
We
getting
all
results that you're not even
get
aware of.
hay
Yes.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was had
Yeah.
the about this time of year when my eyes would just go nuts. I'd have like stupid red, puffy eyes.
Allergies, like, you couldn't even put a cross on that.
Yeah,
public
no,
relate.
Oh,
True.
Suffering.
Totally.
And then you just sort of forget that you used to have this.
Yeah.
That's what the body does. It doesn't remember.
Yeah, so this is one thing that is resource. I know we addressed. I think I brought this up, was creating a sheet
Mhm.
for people when you've got the product, so that they can have kind of a reference of kind of where they're at. How much is it? Is it a 5 out of 10? Is it a 9 out of 10? Is it? Right. So when you revisit it at a point, because a lot of people, I mean, they're not consciously too aware. They're very consciously aware of pain. But unless it goes away totally, then they'll reference that as successful. Right? But when you can, I mean, you've had this experience before with one lady, she's like, no, it's not doing anything for me. She kept pressing it, are you sure? Are you sure? And then before you know, she reels off like 5 things.
Well, which is what Nicholas just did. And actually, everybody around the room went, oh, actually, my hay fever is not that bad. And it's dawned on us. So
Yeah.
there is a, very good. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's a really well-made point. It may be addressing things that you aren't really thinking about because it's not the thing that you were hoping it would.
No.
And so I've got, you know, just something to share about this experience with inflammation and what the body then is freed up to do. So the body is always looking for balance and homeostasis, and it has a wisdom that guides what needs to be addressed and in which order, whether we like that or not. So for all we know, if we could start taking it and it works on the lining of the liver and we don't really necessarily notice anything, we've got a pain in the knee or arthritis or something, but it's still doing its job. Now, in our circadian rhythms that are getting replenished every night, the body has a directive that it's just naturally there to heal us and renew us and regenerate us. If there's inflammation present, that can circumvent that process and direct it at the inflammation because it's become a higher priority. Now, with the inflammation removed, there's a natural progression for us to renew ourselves. So even though this is a structural issue, in your case, in your knee, it well could be that eventually your normal natural healing rhythms take over and can even address that. Just, you know, keep an eye on it. You know, also, I would say directive mindful intention, like I would like this to be directed at my knee when you're taking the drops. There's a lot to be said for the power of our intention. So
Yeah, and you really want to do the drops justice. You want to do yourself justice in your business and also your customer or your team. So you've got to set people up well for success in the beginning by having this kind of upfront information, being able to suggest a pain scale, or taking notes on the phone like I did. You know, I didn't know what to expect, didn't really expect anything. 10 drops in my coffee, took some notes down, sat there actually because I was in that space where I was bottle feeding my grandson and drinking my first cup of coffee with the 10 drops, and gave myself that time to just feel what was I noticing, and I could feel things. So I noted, and the next day same thing, and search all through them, and it's like note 2, and then I've got just this long list of things which I wouldn't remember right now. I didn't even.
No, Louise created one of those
Yeah.
charts. So, you know, in our group, this is already available and able to be downloaded and printed out. And then it sounds like there's something else coming as well. Oh,
I think it's still.
sorry.
I think it just. Yeah, it's all good. It just
Still recording.
just converted my everything.
All right. Now, there's something worth mentioning because the spike protein effect on the body is really top of mind for many people, whether they've taken the COVID injection or whether they haven't. Sometimes there's some theories that there's a transmission of sorts of the spike protein from others So it's in the space environmentally. Would you be willing to hand me some of our products and also those things? Thanks. So this is a really good time to pause for show and tell. There's a couple of things that, since this is a training video, we'd like to presence. So we've got two formulations, as you may or may not know. This is curcumin plus. It has the nanified curcumin as well as vitamin D and vitamin C and ginger. So there's, there it is. And you'll notice that this is a little bit lighter in color than our other formula, which is Nanify curcumin. So both of them have curcumin in the name, but the difference here is Nanify curcumin has curcumin and vitamin D, and you'll see it's a little bit darker. So there's a lot of, some other nuance differences, but, firstly, those are the two products. This one, curcumin plus with the ginger, can be known to help a little bit more with digestion and supportive of the immune system with vitamin C. I will tell you personally that having relatively recently gone through menopause, when I had hot flashes and did everything under the sun because I didn't have this product to get rid of them or subside them, that was finally, behind me. When I started taking the Nanify, all kinds of wonderful things happened for me. Mental clarity, like Sergio, and also mood lift, more energy. Eventually my low backache that was chronic and long lasting went away. Then I ran out and I thought, I'll try the curcumin plus. Well, within about a week, some warm waves started coming back. Like that ginger was a heating element. So just, I noticed another woman who was kind of in that same stage of life mentioned, oh yeah, I noticed that too. It may not be that way for everybody, but if somebody is starting to get kind of like that experience, switch them back to Nanify, change the formulas. We haven't discussed this a lot, and right now we're probably not going to do a lot of covering this, but our other product is Synbiofy, and inside of the box are these wonderful little sachets, and there's 4 capsules of really special probiotic and prebiotic ingredients. And one of the things that makes this a really effective product is the medium upon which the lactobacillus is grown. And so the kind of healing herbs help the detoxification along. That'd be fair to say. All right, now connected with all of this, Dr. Peter McCullough has championed helping people with the effects of these spike proteins, which is what we began this conversation with. What he has said is there are 3 things that will help the body get rid of the spike proteins, which it's currently not. It is curcumin, either nanified or liposomal curcumin. We've got nanified. And what he doesn't know is we have MS Biofy technology, which is water loving. So that's why in the bloodstream it goes whoosh, and instead of whoo, technical terms. And then we have, he suggests nattokinase combined with bromelain and the curcumin. Personally, the curcumin, when I took it, I think a lot of reasons why it lifted my mental fog was it started to help deal with these spike proteins. That's my anecdotal testimony. But I muscle tested, and you can look up muscle testing on Google, it's not hard, with a sway test for both bromelain and nattokinase, which I found online organically. And I also found that my body was drawn for this. So I'm working with that. And part of why I'm bringing this up is because when Peter McCullough says this, a lot of people are following him. And if you know people that are dealing with jab-related injuries or perceived that way, or shedding issues, you can reference Peter McCullough's publication. He's an MD. He knows what he's talking about. This is a publication. And this product is 33 or 30? And is curcumin is 31. So 33 milligrams or 31 milligrams. Well, he'll be telling you to take 500 or 1,000 or 2,000. But please remember that there is a biological equivalent because we have MS Biofy technology, and it's absorbing into the bloodstream much more effectively than thousands of milligrams of just curcumin or powdered turmeric, etc. So that's just like a product highlight. I wanted to slip into this train.
It's good. Really, really good.
I think what I'll actually just cover quickly is about approach, because I know you said something about do you start to approach somebody?
Oh, elevator pitch, 30-second pitch.
I'll be honest, I'm actually not a fan of pitch,
Or approach. I
Or
don't like that word. So it's so great.
because straight away you sound like someone.
Crawling.
So this is a really interesting, it's been covered quite a bit, especially yesterday, like, you know, when we're talking about approaching, when we go back to say what I spoke about before about vision, so what I'm trying to address is, what am I attuned to, right? And how am I going to come across, right? Is it going to be in relation and direct, say, frequency to that? So in other words, my intent is to be genuine, to be heartfelt, and to help. Right? So that's first and foremost, and that resides in me before I open my mouth. Because when I open my mouth, then I'm actually being genuine, I'm actually being myself. I'm not trying to script it. Right? Because that's sales. I mean, I've been in sales for quite a while too. It's like, do this and script that and say that, and you've got 10 seconds in the elevator. Go. Right?
Sell me those pens.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. So, you know, I really would like people to sort of feel like they're coming from a genuine place. Because what we found too is, are you here to really help people get what they want, or are you just trying to figure out that get what you want? And also, are you trying to, in your business, are you trying to fill a hospital? So in other words, all you're doing is targeting people that are sick. Okay? Because I know you can say, oh, well, it's going to work on people that have got chronic, because then they'll see the differences and then I'll be able to sell them the bottles. Obviously, from our perspective, with the vision that we have is, yeah, we want retail component, but also we want a distributor component for the business as well, right? Because that will bring more residual income for us. Okay, so if you're trying to fill a hospital, if you're trying to approach people that are always ill and sore and sick, that's going to be a hard sell a lot of time, because some will see results and some won't. This is a lot of the issue that starts to arise.
Mm-hmm.
So, add anything to that?
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit yesterday about how sometimes people are unconsciously invested in their unwellness and they don't necessarily mean to be, but you might be offering something that they might not be receptive to for a variety of reasons.
Because their
that's a
identity
lovely smile.
has been built around wellness or their attention that they get from other people.
It could be, or it could be that you're saying, here's a product that can help you, and they're like, a product is going to help me. So there could be a whole bunch of reasons why. This is why I alluded to earlier that people actually don't want a product, they want a solution to life. They want a life change, they want a miracle, they want something else that's going, you know. But there's an offering that it can be made to somebody that's not necessarily, you know, trying to sell them on a product for their health, because they might have tried lots of things before. So sometimes that approach, with even though it's really well intentioned, is not going to land where you think it will, and hope it will, because they're not in a receptive space. So always qualify somebody first. Case in point, you know, we had this call, this training we did yesterday, and the girl there was like, I went and spoke to the gym owner, and you know, she's had a stroke. She had a jab, and then she had many strokes, and I want to get her here, and she really needs the product. And I said, you probably should qualify first. And she said, what do you mean? Can I just invite her? And I said, well, why don't you start by saying, are you open to natural remedies to help you with your symptoms of inflammation? And she did. She tried that, and the woman said, no, I'm going to stick with what my current GP and naturopath put me on. Straight away, right? So there was the ability to qualify whether somebody's open and receptive or not first. Such a shortcut.
Yeah.
Saves you so much agony and heartache. And oh my god,
Yeah.
You don't need to convince people.
like say to somebody, would you be open to something that is all natural? I mean, pick any of the amazing things about the product, but qualify them first so that you know where you stand with the person. You have your posture about you. You know, you're not trying to voice this on anybody. This is actually a gift, and you want to see if somebody's open to receiving a gift. And if they are, amazing. So much could happen from there. But if they're not, you know, you're going to be good at just.
That means more for the next person.
And
That's
that
true.
energy of convincing is not even nice to experience, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really
Well, that's
great.
the stigma of the
It
of the
is,
business,
yeah.
right? It's like you're trying to push it on me.
And it feels a bit selling.
So,
Well, it's actually because it's more about people always like, what's in this for me? They filter that. They filter everything through that when there's an encounter, an offering, or an invitation. And certainly people can pick up the energy of what's in it for you if you're trying to, if you've got sort of an objective, even if you're really well intentioned. It might come across that you're too eager, too pushy, too in your face, or whatever. It might not even be that you're trying to get a sign up. So people, but if you can inquire about them, and then you can offer something that is about them, they can either say yes or no.
Dale Carnegie said a long time ago, it is much better to be interested than interesting. You know, it's just a draw, a natural draw, and it's an expression of care that is authentic. And on the note of authenticity, do you remember that like little bit that you posted about the 4,000 times strong frequency of authenticity that everyone's Can you share that, or Sergio, if you remember that?
That was actually a very short, as a couple of minutes, a little post that I put in a diamond group about a study that was done, and they took a group of people. I'm just going from memory here. They took a group of people into a study, and they asked them what I think it was what they thought, which emotion would resonate with the highest frequency. If everybody at the same time was, you know, experiencing this emotion, or what they could feel from somebody else that was emanating this really authentic, you know, genuine emotion. And everybody thought hands down it was love, and actually it wasn't. It was authenticity.
That's what my first thing was like.
Exactly.
Well,
you
mine
would
too.
think that, right? Because you know,
And then authenticity was defined as you believe what you're saying and what you're saying is accurate. So, you know, this does go back to personal testimonial, but also you can borrow from other testimonials. If you're going to compare your testimonial with the person who took low therapeutic doses, who was pronounced, okay, that's it for you from hospice, your testimonial is probably going to fall short. Don't feel bad. It's about your authenticity, about what that has brought forth in your life for you.
and I guarantee you that if you approach somebody who has a health challenge, and like Serge said, don't go to the hospital because it's not fun. You know, you're dealing with sick people and sick mentalities, and not to say that you couldn't help try to facilitate or assist someone, but if you go in with the intent of saying this product's going to be great for you, you're missing a whole bunch of that person's friends and family, because you know, either it works for them or it doesn't. It's sort of besides the point. Everybody, when they hear about this potential, think of a whole bunch of people close to them. Yes, I wonder if that could happen. My sister, my neighbour, such and such has got that. So from a product perspective, we want to really invite people in a very concise way to understand about the value of the product and the potential and potency of the product for information in general, not just about their condition. Because then you can start to, this is what network marketing is really about, is that you have a limited network yourself, but everybody has reach, and this is how we can get the product into the hands of somebody.
So toward that end, when we saw Stephen Keller in Queenstown, he said, generally speaking, you can count on one or more of these that come across with this product when you take it. Better sleep, more mental clarity, less pain, and what was the last one?
Energy.
More energy. I'm glad I didn't forget the mental clarity one, because that would just be embarrassing. Yeah, and here's the person who remembered more energy. So, when I talk about that,
Medical sleep.
Party.
Money in the bean.
take more drops. So, you know, when I speak with people about, you know, like I've never spoken to them before, and I just can say with hand on heart, look, I've taken something that's completely changed my life. And it just so happens that the people that brought it into this country are here tomorrow night. Would you like to come and hear about this? It's astonishing. And they say, what is it? I usually have a brochure in my hand or nearby, and I say, this is a turbocharged bioavailable curcumin, which is like a fire extinguisher to a fire for inflammation in the body. And the root of almost any malady, you can track it all the way back to inflammation. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So just generally laying something like that out, I then can say from my personal experience, you know, it's helped my aching back now not ache, it's helped my mental clarity lift. I know that it has been astonishing for a friend of mine personally who had thyroid markers that reduced by a count of 4 just in 30 days. She bookended it with blood tests. And they will then, just like Rebecca, you just said, start ticking over in their brain. I wonder if that would help my mom with her arthritis. I wonder if that would help my husband with his aching knee or sinuses. So giving some specific personal testimonial, I definitely recommend it, because when I used to speak generally, which means I was kind of hiding, you know, I wasn't being vulnerable, I wasn't being forthcoming. And that's part of my breakthrough with you was on that one-to-one. You know, having that authenticity and generosity, but making it so that they can see possibility for themselves as well is really advised. And should we talk about the brochures that you just dug out?
Sure. Yeah, these are just 2 variations that Jess has designed. So this one was designed by my cousin, who is a practitioner. He's got the wellness clinic in Australia. So they're quite clinical, and at this point, you know, we've come up with these and done these ourselves, and we checked with corporate. Is it okay if we do our own brochures, because there's really nothing available to us down under? And they said, sure, just don't make any outrageous health claims, which we
Define outrageous.
You will see unicorns.
cure, heal, you know, some of the words that we
Mitigate, prevent.
and specific influence of disease states, you know, in terms of any of those words that we just mentioned. So it's a pretty stringent kind of list, but and so then we've also come up with this one which talks about, you know, the technology, but it's more of a product brochure. It's a lot softer, so this type of thing could be great in you know, a lot of different spaces. And we're certainly open to helping design some more when we get a bit more time.
Do we need to say anything about compliance a little more
Yeah, I think
topically
so.
here?
Yeah, well, between Australia and New Zealand, they both have their regulatory body. Probably not aware of this. The product is registered in New Zealand.
With MPI and with MedSafe?
Yeah.
And what does it mean when it's registered with MPI and MedSafe? What does it give us?
So basically, because this is a US product, even though the curriculum is German, but it comes from the US. So clearly, that bottle was labeled for the US market.
You said the curcumin is German. The turmeric is Indian, but it goes to Germany.
Yeah, the notification is it's a German technology.
But and is it done in Germany?
Yeah.
And so then it's notified and then sent to America for assembly.
You said Indian.
Right, so it's grown,
Organic.
or if I understand correctly, it's grown organically in India. It's not certified, and it is grown organically. So there's some trust there. And then
It's
it's
non-GMO.
non-GMO, and then it's sent to Germany for their IP to be protected, intellectual property to be protected. They then need to extract the curcumin from the turmeric and nanofy it and work the MS Biofy technology in so that it is now, it's called hydrophilic, right? Water loving. So normally oil and water will go like this. You can notice that in your salad dressing.
It's actually amphiphilic, which is interesting. So it's water and oil at the same
Oh,
time.
it is. There we go. New terminology.
Yeah, this is why it's so revolutionary.
So from regulation, the company had to make a couple of changes so that it is the label is able to be sort of utilised in New Zealand. Like if you want to put it in, you know, or someone wanted to put it in their clinic on their shelf, no one can be able to come and say, hey, by the way, that shouldn't be on there because whatever. So, you know, But it's past all that, it's been cleared, the labels are actually being made.
That's right, MedSafe, and that was registered with one other.
MPI Ministry
So-
of Primary Industry.
The FDA, someone asked if it's approved by the FDA.
That it's registered, but there's no claims. But you know, they have a sort of fine print thing on the bottom, which actually it's
I
on
did
there,
put
so it's
that
not
up,
approved. I'll read it to you, but from the FDA's perspective, it says, so clearly on here it says this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And where is it's an FDA. Not even being. But in terms of, yeah, I'm sure it's on the pamphlet here, but for New Zealand's market, we have it registered. So the label will be changed for our market.
So the label's been done for New Zealand.
And what that also means is that while we've been in pre-launch, we're getting our product from the USA. It comes in as not pre-sale, so it's basically for personal use. And then when it comes in, when they're able to ship that the pallet loads that are coming as commercial use. So that's now that it's registered, there won't be any problems with customs holding it.
Yeah, and then obviously that'll help open up our customer shopments.
Well, can we talk about that a little bit? So, and strategy. So because I've been in the diamond training, lucky me, one of the things that we've been focusing on is where you're going to be most benefited building your business in this continued pre-launch state, which is probably another 6 to 8 weeks-ish before we get.
Yeah, I would actually say it could be January. The reason I say that is because they said they'd get the product here by probably December. But Christmas time is a circus, as we know.
Yes.
And I would rather say people just aim for January because most things will close down and slow down in New Zealand in December anyway. For something did happen in that, which is sweet, but I always say people keep yourselves till January.
They're hoping to lean more to the beginning of December, but they've said just give us till the end of December in case. So we're saying
Okay. So when that happens, what will happen, if I understand correctly, is that right now people can order from our website, which goes live the moment that we order our kit, our wholesale kit. And if they're in America or Mexico or the Dominican Republic or Colombia or any part of the EU, including also the UK, they can go and they can order, and that's wonderful because it's our retail commissions come right into our e-wallet, and then also our personal qualifying volume gets that number of points depending on what they've ordered. Now, when we're in pre-launch, we can't do that, and that's part of the benefit of having, the first mover advantage here and getting paid to solve problems. Called, I have to actually go to the post office and post this file to somebody instead of it's been drop shipped to my website. And now, our websites will be able to have anyone in New Zealand, at least, for start, then Australia, go just like the US and other countries. They can go to our link and they can say, oh, my friend told me about this, or my friend's friend told me about this. I'm going to order it, and if you drop ship to them, so your time is really freed up. The product is more available. The retail impact to your business is more potentially for some people more of a focus. Right now is a really optimal time to be building distributors, and then that's the time after January
that
to focus on
duplication.
retail.
Well, the duplication of your distributors in your team by the multiples going out and also getting retail customers is then you're getting the benefit of that extra volume being paid as well. So the way that it works at the moment is that the product has a wholesale price and retail price. So $25 wholesale US for Dan Farley, $50 retail. So that's the difference there is the retail is 100% markup. So if you're getting retail customers, you get that 100%. And then 50% of the wholesale amount, so 50% of that 25 USD is also paid back to distributors through what's called the tree, or the group volume, or it's the team volume. So if you've got, like we do, we've worked really hard over the last 6 months probably by the time we open, we'll have over 1,000 team members. Not all of those will be active distributors, but a lot will be really invested in going and sharing this with customers. So let's just say 500 of them decide that they want to go out and get 10 customers each. They're going to be making $50 a bottle on all the bottles they sell, and then they'll get volume coming through for commissions, for residual commissions, and then we will have the multiples of that times 500 go through which is going to be. So this is why we talk about the pre-launch opportunities, because we've got time now to not just get trained about the product and kind of be able to educate others, but also build an organisation or a trade or distribution network here, overseas, in multiple countries that can duplicate the customer experience and the volume. And just quickly on that, when we spoke to Ryan Stokes, who's the person who brought it into the United States from Mexico, he talked about his largest income as a diamond was $39,000 USD for the month, and half of that was customer customer purchases.
People who need charge the retail too.
Yeah, so
Well, they would have just bought off of his website.
so
So he didn't even charge it.
he
He just
focuses
had his
on
link.
building up a distribution network and does trainings, and then his wife is just out all the time at games, soccer and stuff with the kids and baseball and whatever. So she's always talking, sharing the product, and so she usually looks after sharing and giving their link to customers, and they go on and buy. So half of that volume for the month is customer. Unreal. So this is the potential in New Zealand and Australia when we have product here locally that we can get locally shipped. Because right now, if anybody wants to order from your website, they could, but they'd have to pay $60 US shipping fee. It's not very attractive.
Now, when we're talking about US dollars versus New Zealand dollars for now, like I just did this conversion, $60 US is $101.78 New Zealand. That's today's conversion. So, if you extrapolate that and add a few zeros, it's a really nice advantage. Right now, we're paid in USD. We have like better than a 40% benefit just on the exchange rate. So it's another reason that pre-launch is like, yay, let's get into it. So, so we've got
Why is
60.
it benefit?
Because when you have the New Zealand exchange rate, we get, it's not okay. I got paid $1,000 for my Rapid Pro. It's my $1,000 US is actually worth $1,500.
money.
It's worth. The
Maybe
rate.
when we get the equivalent later.
Yeah, we'll get this the same. So basically, like with the commissions, it's based on the 50%, and then with your bonuses, they're about 20% of the kit price. So the startup kit bonus is about 20. I think it's closer to 25 to 12 of the kit. So you're getting the same percentage. So it will transfer. But that's what the consultants are helping you work out.
And that's another benefit to us, actually soft launching. When we open our warehouse, will we be able to open the 1250 kits again here? Or
Yes.
Well, so that's going to be a great benefit to us.
Yeah, because we would have customers.
What's actually happening with what's the latest with the shipping in terms of when do they approve the backlog and will be back to me?
Well, this is there's been a running headache for us for months now, because I was saying this today was because of what we were able to do and basically ran them out of stock because you don't forecast. Say Europe's done X amount, you go, there's no way New Zealand and Australia are going to do it purely by virtue of the fact that you're talking about 20 odd countries as opposed to a tiny island and Australia, which is larger, right? So you don't forecast to go, well, you know what, we're going to blow it up, because if it doesn't, you're left with dead stock.
That's a lot of money.
So anyway, as we started, pulled out the water, we're ready for it, stop.
And
Pretty
they promised never to have less than a couple 100,000 units.
So we've seen the actual paper order, because the owner said, here guys, just so you can, and there's quite a lot coming, right? But that was ordered in April. But what's happened in the interim was when the US got run out of stock, like 3 months ago, is that were able to sort of access small orders from Germany at their expense, because the smaller amounts you order, the higher the price goes. More volume, the lower the price goes. So they absorbed that just to sort of see if they could get. But what happened was, in waiting for that, they said, "Oh, let's ship from Mexico because Mexico has some." But best intention, but the rest is history, because the Mexican DHL area messed it up.
Wow.
So it's not a verifying, it's an actual 3PL issue.
A third party.
Two-page logistics, which means that they've messed up orders. The backhaul, they run out of stock. Then they tried to ship it to the US, so they sort of tried to counter the damage. Tried to ship what they had left to the US. Now it's got stuck at the US customs border, and they don't give you a time when it gets released. They do it when they want to do it.
You know what this is.
Right. So this has been the vast majority of the issue, and of course it's like the poor company's been chasing its tail, trying to fix it, catch up, and everything's been going wrong. But moving forward, there was like, we're never doing that again. It was with best intent, but of course, pushed the delays even more and more and more. In terms of September orders, they said they'll start next week, because the stock sitting at the customs
It's
is not
already
being
bottled,
released.
like-
It's already bottled and ready, it's sitting there. It's just not being released
And that's coming out from America or from
Council company.
from America.
and that doesn't take that long.
5 days.
5 days.
6 days.
5-6 days.
Once it's released from customs.
So at the end of October, maybe early November, or not far, that massive order arrives.
The one from September.
It was the one from April, though, the 150 odd
That's
thousand
coming in early November.
Yeah.
To New Zealand.
to the US,
We
And then
wish.
shipped over.
then shipped over. But then we won't see any of these crazy delays.
And then,
Like,
like
it's
we've
been
just
crazy.
spoken about, ideally, then they have some sort of manufacturing facility down under, and then look to maybe.
That's in the future stuff. But
Yeah.
If we can get everything going here and they can keep justifying the building, they will definitely, I think, look to manufacture down here.
Yeah.
And is that just so that I get my head around it, that in the kits that are ordered now, really they should have, anyone that orders a kit now, we're in the middle of October,
Mhm.
like I'll be looking at 2 months by the time I get my kit.
Mm.
But people that order now
Probably around the same time.
in
Yes.
November,
In 2 weeks.
How fair.
into a month, maybe.
Early adopter,
Yeah.
see, the joys of pre-launch.
But no, this is the joys of pre-launch. Now I would like to
I'll get
kind
3
of,
kits all at once.
Yeah.
we'll be swimming it again.
Thank God. Thank God.
So, I'd like to step back and recapitulate this, because, there is a way to turn everything to our advantage if we're willing to let go of our right to complain, and we're willing to really search for a solution. And so one of the things that's happened, necessity has been the mother of invention in terms of a supply crisis with a demand, skyrocketing, because we're good at sharing and we're connected Kiwis, and we, part of why it's going well here. So what happened is, I came in mid-July and ordered my kit, and then within 2 weeks, I heard Rebecca's strategy that was really intelligent about, put your family, if you have enough reach in your network, in your first top line, and that way you've got your household income getting, rounding up $20,000 in bonuses ×4 instead of ×1. So I chose to do that, and I ordered my family's kits 2 weeks later. While all that was going on, I was sharing my tushy off, because I really was having a great result. Fortunately, at the time, Rebecca and Sergio had stock, and when I would say, well, is it possible I could have like 5 bottles or 18 bottles, or, by the time I kind of got through all that, between Lynette, my upline, and Rebecca and Sergio, I think one of my kits came in, it was 48 bottles, and more than half that kit went right back to them immediately to replace what they loaned me. But the rest of the half of the kit went forward to my downline, following the example and the grace and the generosity that had been given to me. So when, anybody came online that needed it, I said, here's one to start for you, and here's a couple of more to share. And as much as I could, because we had ordered 3 more kits, when Nicholas's and Steve's and Celeste's came in, I still had like a library. I've got a London library of, curriculums going around. So the networking and connecting within the Vitafy family really has gotten tight because of that breakdown. We've, I think, have a real breakthrough in this team connection.
It's about finding solutions, right? It's really what people see. We can all complain, sure. It's frustrating.
I don't ever complain.
No one's.
Really more just understand what's straightforward.
Yeah, no one's exempt from that, but that's a great point because it is about finding solutions. So the solutions are available.
When the
Oh yeah, everybody wants to see you and your new haircut.
when when
This is scene.
when Emma?
I have a question.
Okay, you're
Okay.
Run cover for your brother.
I have a question about following up. What kind of time frame do you guys after educating them and going through like basic dosages for what they
In terms of having a product.
Yeah.
I think I normally go 3 days.
use the first?
Only because it does sometimes impact people that fast.
Yeah.
Then I'll probably go into the following week just double check. Then you show kind of a vested interest, and this is again the difference between pulling a product off the shelf or what customer service you actually provide. That's part of your business. You've got a distributor network, but you've also got a retail component, and you've got to look after your customers. So 3 days, end of the following week, that'll give me a sort of an indication of kind of where they're at. And I think with the new, maybe resource we get that about kind of finding a chart of main scale.
Even things like hay fever, like having hay fever on that scale.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We all forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's that would be obviously something that would be sort of private to us, right? Because we're not supposed to be labelling conditions. So, but it's a great way for people to sort of attune better to their bodies, right? Because people are busy and they look at it and go, "Yeah, my knee sore, so I'm fixing my knee," and not realizing that something else is actually, But before we probably do that time, because I don't want it to get too late for everyone. It's been time ticks away. Is an area that I really would like to start to look at and invite people to start to look at is that it's not just about pain, right? Because we're all going, "Oh, that'll alleviate that person that got a sore, whatever," and target that. But what about people that, and I think I've mentioned this to you in Apple, about performance, so support. We had a girl the other day saying, "Do I have to take this forever?" Of the rest of my life, right? And my initial thought was, well, why wouldn't? But what we do is when we go to say traditionally, we'll go, "If I had a headache, I'll take Panadol, then I won't take it again because it's gone, and I'll only take it again when I get it," right? But I think as a culture, we're kind of being so consumed by symptoms and the pain and the kind of relief of that. But what about the other aspect of what would your life start to look like if you get through that marker into a better state of health and well-being and performance, say my mental clarity a little bit. So I found I was able to problem solve better, think faster, had ideas coming to me because I didn't have that.
Build a diamond business.
Yeah, I was just like, I was like, man, this is awesome, right? So I was like, well, why can't we start to investigate that part of it? Supporting that space with continual taking of the drops, and then start to feel like we, as you say, go from baseline health into something of far better performance. Because I feel like those areas aren't necessarily sort of looked at, unless you say a high performance athlete or so forth. But why can't we as a whole educate people around that part of it, as opposed to, well, Judy, it's great, it's kind of fixed my whatever, and thanks.
Well, it's interesting though, because it's like when you talk about like, do you take it forever? I guess there's a part of us that wants to heal and not have be reliant on something to feel well. And at the same time, you know, I think there's also the other side of it, which is we forget because of the world that we live in, we forget how optimum health feels.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
our operating level is quite low.
Yeah, we adjust and adapt to quite a kind of average operating system, don't we?
Yes.
And then it's kind of like you go to someone and you say, well, you know, do you want to feel this and that? And the next thing, it's almost like it doesn't even seem possible, you know. But yeah, you know, it could be definitely a tool for enhanced optimizing of health. Or, you know, these, what do they call those people that hack?
That
Yeah.
article, Julie shared an article with me
Yeah.
earlier from a friend on turmeric, and I was reading it earlier tonight. There's please share the intro and the version. Within the cornucopia of medicinal plants, few possess such a wide spectrum of qualities and medicinal uses as turmeric. For countless centuries, many different cultures have used this wonderful versatile herb to treat a myriad of diseases and ailments. Most well-known medicinal acts of turmeric, and it goes into, and then the last paragraph to surmise, it says, idea with, in the words of David Boyd, if I had only a single herb to depend upon for all possible health and dietary needs, I would, without much hesitation, choose the Indian spice turmeric. And it said there's no reason that we all should, you know, everyone should take it on a daily basis, basically. You know, so I know they're taking it in a way less potent form for Ayurveda, which is, you know, science of life. Goes back thousands of years, and it's, you know,
And they have other ways of activating
Stands the
that.
test of time.
Like
Yeah,
by
yeah.
cooking,
You know.
adding pepper into it, things like that.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
that seems to have other disadvantages. But yeah,
Now,
so amazing.
Nicholas has remembered his question, but as I turn this camera slowly around, one of the things I wanted to mention is on the topic of shall I take this on a daily basis, you know, for the rest of my life. You know, one thing I think is really important to remember is that we are getting assaulted by inflammatory inputs all the time. So in the air and water and food, and then the stress of kind of Western society. So it's not like, okay, great, I got my turmeric or curcumin inputs, and now these things are sorted, and I'm just going to drop it and go on. Well, it's okay.
I'll lip read.
Nicholas is lip reading. The issue is that's a bioaccumulative situation. So stay on top of it and prevent it so that it doesn't get, you know, another leg over on you.
Yeah, that's that. You sort of new warring into something that's I mean, this is my view on it, because you know, we were that's like we push boundaries. So, but it's like, you know, you say that, should I take it today? Do you drink coffee today or two? Why? So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Yeah, it's funny how we are wired, right? We're like, well, I'm not a pain.
Yeah.
All right, Nicholas, the camera's pointed at you because you remembered your question.
So I thought over here. So when the product is in launch, is the ranking system and the system that's in place currently still going to be in use and in development?
Like you want to know what
The
conversation
10 years time after that I'm.
what conversation.
Oh no, that's definitely going to be that's in use everywhere. And we just get to participate in that. We're so fortunate because we're being grandfathered into the United States right now. So we don't really exist on the system technically, but we've been a comprehensive business before we even opened. So imagine when we're open, and we hope that we've heard a few rumours that there's a little bit of room to move on the comp plan. That might even improve. It's the best one we've ever seen, the most generous and lucrative. But
I've heard this from 30-year experienced network marketers. You know, saying Okay, so that's,
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it will be in effect and we'll have the advantage of, so right now we've built for 7 months without customers.
Mm.
I mean, we share product, but that's mainly to our downline. And then like we said, we have a learning library. We've got about 200 bottles coming back to us that we've mined out.
you guys too.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we've built this without customers, and we're just excited to see what will be able to happen when we can continue building with wholesalers and distributors, but then also adding a customer dimension on, and that will just, I think it will just.
And on a fine print, that takes us into the legal requirement of the new market. So legally, we have to have a certain customer component part of it. Otherwise, it's regarded as
Oh, so you have to have a retail component.
correct.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't be a problem.
Exactly, and we can retail right now in other countries as well. So.
That's why some companies have been around 50 years. If they were illegal, they would not be operating. So that's great. Like, I mean, as an early adopter, I would have rather have put up with the headaches that we put up with now to be in a position to be open soon and then start to create markets from there. But that's what we spoke about with Asia, was once they're established in Australia and New Zealand, you can ship from there in Asia. So if you got those savvy people, that you think, well, they could, we want to talk to people like that. Or that have access to somebody that you think they're actually super motivated to do something, change lives. Because by virtue of the fact that we are in the position that we are with the company, because they've already said to us, if you've got, we'll trust what you guys are, as long as the system, we can always share the system that we've had in.
What sort of admin do you need to do, and what sort of how much time are you spending doing the back end of it?
Oh, the back end we usually just use to check the tree, see what's happening, who's what how people tracking in the team.
Did you do any kind of database management or that? I'm terrible with systems.
It's all done. It's all part of the back office. It's all systemized on there. You get reports there if you want them. You can see who's new, who's signed up, who's a customer, which of your team, which you retain that individual. It's pretty cool system. So there's not a lot of business really that goes into the business.
It's actually pretty simple.
How many hours a week do you think you're spending on it, Jen?
On admin in particular?
No, on the business. Jen.
Well,
I know you're very passionate.
I'm-
Wrong person.
I have some.
Ask Steve how many he's spending.
I have some very inspiring mentors, and I'm really committed to this. So, and this is a tricky thing, because if people look at me and they're like, I can't do or won't do what you're doing, that's fair, actually. But I'm up for Diamond by December, so I have a very, very focused goal, and it's a very intensive time period, so it's a little different. So, to count the number of hours, I probably spend at least 4 solid days, a good 8 hours a day during the week, and then probably a good 4 to 6 hours, the other 3 days of the week, and I'm sleeping less because I have more energy and I'm super motivated and focused. So it's all working for me. Fortunately, my family is also, and friends are picking up slack in other parts of my life because they know it's a short time frame to get positioned well for something. Now, when you talk about data entry, in the early part of the building of the business, there's recruitment directly, where you're sharing it and you're building your organization. You're part of the team within the greater team. And that means there is some data entry, a person's name and address and phone number and birth date and a password and their credit card number,
Just to get them set up.
and they're in then your database. From there, just like Rebecca and Sergio are talking about, everything else becomes automated. There might be some learning or some questions about, oh, well, what's this PQV and how long does that last? I forgot. but that's different, that's not admin. So it's very, very limited and set up so you can hold. Then there's also ways of, working this out with teammates within your team, saying, look, I'm flat out, I don't have time to do this right now, but my friend is ready, so will you help me with their registration? There are people that work together. to help their
Yeah, so when we
businesses.
say like we have 800 people on our team, that we kind of sort of look after somehow. But really what that means is like, so we in terms of ranking and responsibility, that's really spread out across the whole team. So we've got 800, but we've got another diamond in our team, and she's got her own 500, and then she's got multiple, rates and premiums, and so it's so chunking it down. It's like people are looking after their immediate team, and then that's kind of helped by somebody who's looking after that team and a few others. So it's like
A waterfall effect.
So in a month for me, the team that I've been able to grow with the rest of the team has been about, I've gone from 0 to 40. And along that way, because I've gotten help and teaching and mentoring and huge support, I then went and created a messenger chat. Well, immediately now, if my teammates read it, I sent out a message that took me 5 minutes to put together, and that's it for communicating with everybody. So I'm learning and working smarter.
they just invite their new team into Jen's chat, and then they get all the information. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but at some point it's really good to want, if you want to have influence, it's really good. But she definitely wants to fast track. So.
When you're your own business owner, so you can put them with lunch. I mean, your own roles and so forth. So you got to sort of find space. Could be an hour.
Or assign it to
could
me,
be
and right
2 or
now,
3 hours. Or you
like
gotta
take
assign
advantage
it.
of me, because right now I'm like far out. Yep, whatever you need. And I won't always be able to do it that way. I'll end up with a large team that is more about training and supporting on a broader scale, and
Share quickly what you were talking to me about that you'd love to be doing next year.
with training together. Yeah, so like what we're doing right now, this is my happy place. More of this.
Yeah.
Which then frees Rebecca and Sergio up to create in that scale and vision that they're creating. And then probably what will end up happening is somebody else will come along like Judy and say, oh, I like that training you're doing. And I'll say, good, come and do it with me. And now they'll be ready to move on to their next thing. And I'll say, oh, I like what you did. So I'll move over to that. And so everybody keeps growing and expanding and finding niche areas to, just do your jam and share your gifts.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Well, I think
we have more things to do, but we are, like we were going to do training in terms of explain compensation plan, do an actual order, kit order entry, and explain the difference between donating a registration directly to your downline or keeping that for yourself in terms of the commission and do a placement fee. That's advanced. We're now not going to do that. So edit the introduction. But there's lots more to learn, lots more to come, and more trainings to be had. So driving around, just plug in and listen to one of these.